Welcome back to stage 16 of Cambridge Latin. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through the model sentences in this video, and then in the next video we'll run through the first translation. Alrighty, so let's start off right here. Coggi Dobnus quintum per alum ducebat. Coggi Dobnus was leading Quintus through the palace. So that's an imperfect tense verb, and that's an accusative of extent in that prepositional phrase. In alla erat multae picturae. So in the palace, there were many pictures. Quas pictor Graecus pinxerat, which a Greek painter had painted. All right, so one thing about this second sentence is everything after the comma, so quas to pinxerat, is a relative clause, and it is referring back to the multi picturae, so that is the antecedent. So the relative pronoun is feminine accusative plural. Now it is feminine and a plural because multi picturae are feminine and plural. It is accusative because it's the direct object of pinxerat. So the Greek painter had painted which paintings, right? So it's the direct object of this. Also, pinxerat is a pluperfect tense verb, right? So that's the new tense that we learned in this stage. So it means he had painted. So it's the past of the past. Also, we'll notice that most of the time we see pluperfects are going to be inside of relative clauses, at least in this stage. All right, so down here, rex juvenum in hortum duxit. So the king led the youth into the garden. So perfect tense verb, in plus accusative means into. In horto erant mor multiflores quos coggi dobnus ex Italia importaverat. So in the garden were many flowers, which coggi dobnus had imported from Italy. All right, so again, we recognize that quos starts off this relative clause right here. It is masculine accusative plural. It is masculine and plural because multiflores are masculine and plural. It is accusative because it's the direct object of importaverat. So coggi dobnus had imported which flowers. And importaverat is another pluperfect tense verb. Tum ad atrium venerunt. In medio atrio erat fons marmorius, qui aquam effundebat. So then they arrived at the atrium, right? Perfect tense verb. In the middle of the atrium was a marble fountain, which was pouring forth water. All right, so this is an imperfect tense verb, erat. And notice that we said in the middle of the atrium, even though both medio and atrio are in the ablative. Marmorius means marble, and this last little relative clause right here, governed by qui. Qui is the subject of effundebat, so it is masculine nominative singular, therefore matching fons marmorius, which is also masculine nominative singular. Lastly, effundebat is imperfect. All right, rex et hospites in aula canebant. Cana quam quoque Graeci paraverant, optima erat servi magnam ovum in mensam possuerunt. So the king and guests were dining in the palace. Right? Dinner, which the Greek slaves had prepared, was very good. The slaves placed a large egg onto the table. All right, so let's talk about a couple things here. First of all, the main clause for the second sentence is cana optima erat, which means that everything between these two commas is a relative clause referring back to cana. Quam is the relative pronoun. It is feminine singular accusative. It is feminine and singular because cana, its antecedent, is feminine and singular. It is accusative because it's the direct object of paraverat. So the Greek cooks had prepared which dinner, right? And that's also a pluperfect tense verb, paraverant. In mensa means onto the table. So it's not into the table in this case, it's going to be onto the table. You got to use reasonable logic in terms of translating some of these prepositional phrases. And possuerunt is just a perfect tense verb from pono. So they placed it onto the table. Ex ovo, quod servi in mensam possuerunt, apparuit saltatrix. So from the egg which the slaves had placed onto the table, a dancing girl appeared. Okay. XOO is obviously ablative separation. OO is the antecedent for quod. So oum is going to be neuter, which is why quod is neuter. It is singular because oum is singular over here. It is accusative because it is the direct object of possuerant. So the slaves had placed which egg on the table. And we can see the difference right here between possuerunt and possuerant. So this is perfect tense up here, and this is pluperfect, so which they had placed. Apparuit, pardon me, is perfect tense, and saltatrix is a third declension. I think we get things like salsa dancing from this. Last sentence right here. Tum pumiliones quos rex in Italia emerat intraverunt. Pumiliones pilas iactabant. So then the dwarves, which the king had bought in Italy, entered. The dwarves were throwing balls. All right. So the relative clause in that first sentence, quos rex in Italia emerat. Emerat is going to be a perfect pluperfect tense verb. Quos is masculine and plural because pumiliones is masculine and plural. It is accusative because it is the direct object of emerat. So which the king bought which dwarves. Intraverunt is perfect tense. Pilas is the accusative direct object of iactabant, which is imperfect. And it don't get this confused with the word pilum. Pilum, which is a neuter noun, means spear. So pila means a ball. All right, and that's the end of the model sentences. I will see you in the next translation.